General Motors lays off 1,000 employees, one with over 20 years of tenure, through a text. I remember watching the 2009 movie Up in the Air with George Clooney and thinking how spineless were these companies that they can't even lay off their own employees. Fast forward to now, and George Clooney's character in that movie would have received his layoff notice long ago. Large corporations have figured out that his job in that movie is no longer relevant. Easier and quicker to do it through an email, a text, or recorded video message from a well-compensated C-suite executive. COVID removed the last of any heart, compassion, or loyalty that any Fortune 500 company has for any of its employees. It's clear now that an employee is just one of thousands and a number on an Excel spreadsheet, as easy to remove as hitting the backspace key.
Hey everyone, welcome back. General Motors just laid off 1,000 employees, some with over 20 years of loyalty, through a text message. No warning, no handshake, no thank you. Just a digital goodbye. It's a harsh reminder that in today's economy, you can give decades of your life to a company and still get replaced by an Excel formula. What you're about to see isn't just about jobs being lost, it's about human dignity being deleted with a single click. Watch till the end and tell me, do you think corporations owe their workers more than a "we wish you the best" text?
Imagine working somewhere for 38 years and waking up to an email at 5:07 in the morning letting you know that you don't work there anymore because your job's been eliminated as part of a layoff. One person doesn't have to imagine that. Adam Bernard, a 38-year employee of General Motors, whose job was eliminated last week as part of a large layoff at GM. Now, one thing that stuck out with me, because I've talked about layoffs and how they're so inhuman, and the board will give a number and just tell corporate leadership, figure out how to meet it. And often people are looking at spreadsheets and just picking things out by numbers, not thinking of the names behind these layoffs and how you're taking away a job from someone that worked there for 38 years in plenty of cases like that. And so my one question is, was there more thought that went into whether to send the email and time this to go out at 5 o'clock on the dot, or to send it at 5:07? And was there more thought put into that than the rest of the layoff altogether?
Let's be realistic. You know why GM is laying off thousands of workers in the United States. Of course, their profits have been high. They want them to stay high. And they're not going to be able to sell GMs in the United States when all of the parts that they need to make them are coming from somewhere with a 10% or 20% tariff on it. Let's be real. It's already happening. Thank you, DJT.
Y'all, GM laid off 200 engineers just days after raising profits. I took notes. Let's talk about it. In a move catching many off guard, General Motors has laid off more than 200 salaried employees, mostly engineers, only days after the company raised its 2025 financial guidance and celebrated one of its best stock days since 2009. The cuts come as GM continues to restructure and strengthen core design capabilities, according to an internal statement, to say that the affected workers were told their jobs were being eliminated due to business conditions, not performance. President Donald Trump praised new tariffs on trucks this week, saying Ford and GM are up big on tariffs. But even with tariff relief, automakers continue to shed U.S. jobs amid EV market uncertainty and cost-cutting pressures. GM's U.S. salaried headcount has fallen from 53,000 in 2023 to about 50,000 today. We recognize the efforts and accomplishments of the impacted team members, GM said. Do you though? It's worth noting that most of the engineers that were laid off reside in Detroit, Michigan. What do you think, guys? Fair or foul? Put it in the comments.
They brag about record stock gains, then dump hundreds of skilled engineers who actually built that success. And they'll hide behind words like restructuring, efficiency, or business conditions, when the truth is simple. Cutting people is the fastest way to please shareholders. GM claims it's strengthening core design capabilities. Translation? They're betting big on electric vehicles, but they're trimming the very engineers they'll need to make that pivot work. Do you think these layoffs were strategic or just plain greed? But anyway, in the next video, we'll see how giant companies that make billions of dollars lay off their employees on Christmas Eve and clear their consciences with the excuse of efficiency.
We have some breaking news right now. General Motors is laying off 1,000 of its employees, despite the fact that the company is about to see record-breaking profits this year. No one is talking about this, and it's time we hold big corporations like General Motors accountable. According to the automaker is realigning its priorities in the EV space after the public adoption of EVs has not been as fast as GM once expected. And this is also partially likely due to the fact that the Trump administration is literally cutting the EV tax credit that has provided tax credits to thousands of Americans who have purchased EV vehicles. And this comes after the company let go of another 1,000 salaried employees just back in August. Now, the vice president of the United Auto Workers, the union that represents these auto workers who were laid off, made a statement this morning saying, quote, GM is trying to cut around 50 UAW jobs when they're making record profits. We will fight for our laid off members with the full force of our contract. I think it is absolutely abhorrent that big companies can make record profits, yet still cut salaries, especially at a time where there's a lot of uncertainty over consumer pricing with possible tariffs. And also, it's literally the holiday season. Christmas is coming up, Hanukkah's coming up, and these employees won't have a job because of General Motors. And for the record profits that GM is about to earn is more than $14.5 billion. Let that sink in. Comment below your thoughts. Spread this to your friends, family, and loved ones so that they know what's happening and follow along for all the news you need to know about.
GM just shut down its innovation center. Hundreds of Georgia jobs gone. You know, I took notes. Let's talk about it. General Motors just confirmed it's closing its Roswell-based innovation center, and more than 300 employees are losing their jobs by the end of the year. The center originally opened in 2013 as a part of a $26 million investment to bring over 1,000 high-tech jobs to Georgia, but it's now shutting its doors as GM redefines its site strategy. Translation: they're consolidating, moving technical teams into a few central hub locations for what they call better collaboration. About 325 jobs will be cut, while others may go remote or relocate to other facilities. GM says some workers with specialized skills could be transferred, but not everyone will get that offer. All affected employees are being offered severance, but still, this marks the end of a big tech era promise in Georgia that once symbolized innovation and job growth. Closures like these are becoming common. We're going to see more of them. Of course, this is due to automation and AI. I have more to say, but I signed an NDA on an AI project, so I've pretty much said all I could say on my page about this, but let me know what y'all think. Fair or foul? Put it in the comments. Oh, and I forgot to tell y'all, UPS year-to-date has laid off 48,000 workers. Their goal for the year was 20,000. So I'm not sure how they're getting away with this extra 28,000, but that's what they're doing. Now, mind you, they just announced $1.3 billion in profits. Okay. All right. Well, anyway. Fair or foul? Put it in the comments.
General Motors shutting down its Roswell Innovation Center means over 300 Georgia workers are packing up their desks before the holidays. This was the same $26 million innovation investment that was supposed to create high-tech jobs, not erase them. And it's not just GM. UPS quietly dropped 48,000 employees this year, more than double what they even planned, while bragging about $1.3 billion in profits. And if you think AI and automation won't touch your industry, wait until your company decides that collaboration really means consolidation. So what do you think? Fair or foul? Should companies be allowed to announce record profits while wiping out entire teams? Drop your take below. But anyway, in the next video, we'll see how giant agricultural companies that make billions in profits took away the livelihoods of 8,000 people under the pretext of market trends.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this isn't good. America's biggest private company, Cargill, is getting ready to lay off over 5% of its workforce. Let me tell you why this is not good. First, Cargill is America's largest privately held company. It is also the world's largest agricultural commodities trader. AKA, if things aren't going good with agriculture, things aren't going good for them. But now grocery prices are dropping. On top of that, the number of U.S. cattle is down, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Are we starting to get it? Cargill has invested to be one of the largest beef processors in North America. Bloomberg reported earlier this year that the famously tight-lipped behemoth's profits had fallen to $2.48 billion in the fiscal year ending in May. If $2.48 billion is bad, I'd love to know what's good. Now here's the problem. Cargill has more than 160,000 employees, and there's going to be an estimated 8,000 cuts. Then they give you this mumbo jumbo. As we look to the future, we have laid out a clear plan to evolve and strengthen our portfolio to take advantage of compelling trends in front of us, maximizing our competitiveness and above all, continuing to deliver for our customers. Gotta love the corporate world. But yeah, guys, in a nutshell, this spells disaster in a way, because the biggest commodities trader in agriculture is getting ready to lay off 8,000 people, and they're the behemoth of this space. Something's not right.
The layoffs are only going to continue. They did this last year, and they're going to do it again this year. But they eliminated so many roles last year, and they did it in the most inhumane way ever. 2 days before Thanksgiving, 2 days before Christmas. They do not care. These companies do not care. Stop expecting mercy from these corporations. They are not for you. You are literally a number that they are easily going to be able to get rid of. Do you know what it feels like to be laid off? This is how it feels like. You wake up, you open your computer, you're like, I can't even log in. What the heck is going on? You check your phone, there's an email. Your role's been eliminated. You have no access to your office, you have no access to your computer. Any project that you were working on, don't worry about it. And you would be lucky if you even get a phone call, never mind an email. And that is the feeling of being laid off. Your role is officially eliminated. You're done. It's like you never worked there. Whatever you were working on, don't worry about it. Oh, but I was just starting. Oh, but I was just finishing up. No, don't worry about it. Like, that is what it feels like to be laid off. Your next paycheck is coming in 2 weeks. Your last paycheck is ending in 4 weeks. Good luck. We appreciate all the work that you've done. Remember, there's always an opportunity to work together in the future again. And that's literally what it's like. Stop giving your all into these corporations. That's why I never truly understand working with people who are so overly obsessed with shit within the company. Like, well, that's not how that's done, because if we don't do that, the next one is... They act like they own the company themselves. You'll get laid off tomorrow, Beth Ann. Relax. Relax. Like, look at the amount of layoffs happening. I promise you, throughout this holiday season into the new year, this is only going to continue and rise, and the same shit happened last year, and it'll continue to happen, especially as AI evolves, especially as more companies decide to integrate that into their policies and like their work. It's only inevitable. I got laid off once from a team, and 3 of the women were pregnant. They got laid off too. So my entire team got laid off, and I got a phone call, and they said, sorry, we don't need you anymore. Return our laptop at this. Remember to not forget the monitor or the mouse or this or this. And that was the end of that, and I had to just move on with my life. But thankfully I was a student, and it was just an internship. But it was just like crazy to think about. Like, I had access to nothing. I was working on these amazing things, like, done, over with. And that's how it is. That's just how it is.
This is the part no one wants to talk about. What it actually feels like to be laid off. One morning you open your laptop and nothing. Your login doesn't work. Then comes the email. Your role has been eliminated. That's it. No call, no warning. You're erased overnight like you never existed. And somehow they always time it perfectly. Right before Thanksgiving, right before Christmas, when you've got kids waiting for gifts and bills stacked up on the counter. You were just another line item on a spreadsheet, easily deleted. Stop confusing loyalty with job security, because when that email hits your inbox, the same people preaching we're a family will suddenly forget your name. Be honest, if your company laid you off tomorrow, would they even blink? Tell me in the comments what you think loyalty really means today.
So I think I'm gonna get laid off tomorrow. I got an email from our executive director asking if I can meet with him tomorrow. And the title of that email was my organization's name, staffing. And I was like, oh. So yeah, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I'm trying my best to remain calm, and it is hard. To be honest, I didn't think that this was gonna happen to me, but I was wrong. At least I think I'm wrong. I guess we'll just have to see what happens tomorrow. But in the meantime, I am just going to do my best to try and not think about it. Although I think that's going to be a little difficult. So yeah, at the end of the day, it just... And I have no other words other than that. It just... Cheers to being an adult in 2025, I guess.
Thanks for jumping on, everybody. So as you know, we've made the very difficult decision to lay off 25% of the organization. And here's why you should be excited about that, okay? Because not only is it not a bad thing, it's actually a good thing, because it wasn't as much of a layoff as much as it is a re-strategizing of our existing priorities. And what that newfound focus is going to allow us to do is really reinvent and reimagine the way that we do business, okay? And while I can assure you that these decisions are not made in a vacuum, they are made with a mop, okay? Just like a clean sweep, so that now we have a clean floor. And what we're able to build on that floor is really up to you, okay? Because what this does is it opens up a lot of very exciting opportunities, not just for us as a business, but also for all of the remaining stakeholders. We have a lot more leeway and a lot more breathing room in order to give you guys the path that you need, okay? And while I know what you're thinking, oh, does this mean like I'm gonna get promoted, I'm gonna get a raise? Yeah.
A 25% layoff, dressed up like a motivational speech. Here's why you should be excited, they say, as your co-workers pack their boxes. And that last line, maybe you'll get a raise, that's the final sprinkle of false hope before the reality sets in. The people who remain are about to work twice as hard for the same pay, carrying the guilt of those who didn't make it. This is what corporate America does best: turn a layoff into a pep talk. If you've ever been through a layoff that came with a pep talk, tell me, what did they call it? Restructuring? Team optimization? Drop it in the comments. Let's expose the corporate buzzwords together.
You have a job? You have a job working for somebody else, and you're gonna sign a 30-year note to buy a house? Are you crazy? I know you think I'm really important at my job. They would never get rid of me at my job. Yeah, 153,000 people thought that last month. Yeah, jobs are going away like that. Big companies, little companies, middle-sized companies, they are downsizing and they are getting rid of people. So are you sure you're going to have that job? Are you sure? Because getting a new job, yeah, that's not very easy. In fact, if you ask many, it's pretty damn hard. So are you sure that job is secure? Are you sure? Because you're going to sign on to a house that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars because of your job. Yeah. I think you're crazy. In this climate, signing a 30-year note for a house that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars because right now you have a job? Yeah. Be careful out there. That job may not last as long as you think.
So this shows you that we're shifting from growth at any cost to efficiency at any cost. So these are recent layoff announcements. Look how many employees companies are getting ready to lay off. Majority or almost all of these layoffs are due to AI. So if you're young, I would start looking into things like AI automation, AI, just anything in that field of cyber tech and AI.
Companies aren't bragging about expansion anymore. They're bragging about how many people they can replace with a few lines of code. You look at the recent layoffs list, and it's brutal. Entire departments wiped out, all justified under one buzzword: AI integration. But here's the truth. This isn't just a tech story. It's a survival story. If you're young right now, this is your wake-up call. Learn automation. Learn AI systems. Learn how to build, fix, or command the very tools that are replacing everyone else. Because the companies are done hiring for effort. They're hiring for adaptation. Do you think AI layoffs are just the beginning? Or are we already in the middle of something much bigger? Drop your take below. If you made it this far, take a second to think about where you stand in all this. Observer or survivor? I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp, stay learning, and don't get replaced.